online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akaman. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, RWBY fans! Welcome to another edition of the AFTERBUZZ RWBY After Show. Tonight we are talking about the world of Remnant Huntsman, as well as episodes 3 and 4. It's Brawl in the Family and Lessons Learned. How are we all doing tonight?
I'm so happy they went with Brawl in the Family.
Boo. So good.
It's an actual series. You know this.
Boo. Come on. Well, anyway, let me introduce my fantastic panel, as well as our fantastic guest, Mark Donica.
Howdy, welcome to. I'm very happy to be back on the. Welcome to myself.
Welcome
I
to
feel
me.
damn welcome. This is me. I'm living my life and I'm enjoying it.
Emma Fyffe.
Hello, I'm Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet at Emma Fyffe.
Hi, my buddies. I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. We're also keeping an eye on the live chat on YouTube and on the hashtag on Twitter, RWBYABTV. We are literally the only AfterBuzz hashtag that's backwards, and I love it.
Yes, we are. That is a fact.
We're hipsters. We started first.
We're special.
I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can tweet at me directly at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. Now let me introduce our fantastic guests, Lindsay Jones and Barbara Dunkelman. Thank you guys.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us tonight.
Of course, we guys love being on, so thank you for having us. Yes.
Of course, anytime. How's the weather down in Texas?
Good. A little chilly. I will say my Texas skin is angry that it was like 60 today. No, not okay. No. It's freezing.
60 degrees does sound freezing, especially living in Los Angeles, like where that's pretty much as cold as it gets.
We suffer the same fate.
When I was in Colorado last weekend, it was 9 degrees.
That's
So, I love you all, but I currently have no sympathy.
That's why I don't leave California.
It's fine. We'll stay together.
All right.
It's a good thing that we'll all be able to stay warm because, guys, winter has finally arrived.
Circle. Full circle.
Full circle, and she is lovely.
She's great.
I wanted to get everybody's, our guests included, I wanted to get everybody's first take on our introduction to this character. What did we all think?
Dang.
I mean, she just shows up and totally owns it. You know what I mean? Like, her character design is so great, and I feel like her personality was like perfectly reflected in the way that she appeared, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
This is the first character that we've had where the cosplay doesn't have built-in pockets or pouches.
Well, maybe
No,
they're
the
like
sleeves
secret
are.
ones.
There's the sleeves. You just since there's a little tear in it, you could probably put something.
Getting
in
behind
there.
her coattails, obviously.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Exactly.
tried to keep anything in your sleeves?
It's pretty great. Works out
That's
great
what
for
the
me.
coattails are for,
Yeah.
Katie.
Okay. Have you ever tried to keep anything in your coattails?
Actually, yeah.
Every day.
A lot of
Every day.
squished stuff.
I don't normally wear coattails, but I'm sure if I did, I would.
All right, then I'm wearing my coattails next time just to prove it.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Oh.
How about you guys now? Because you guys, it doesn't. It's not like you guys are with the production every single step of the way. So seeing everything come together, what's it like when you get to see a new character presented like this?
Really rewarding, honestly, to get to see the full product. I mean, we saw just graphic designs or basic concepts for Winter whenever we first presented her at RTX, or even before that, there were simple alterations for her costume design or some facial features. But we saw that, we said, okay, this is what she'll look like, kind of similar to a lot of the earlier designs for the main 4 characters. Similar feel, very anime-oriented, Christina's work. And then we got to see, get to watch a little bit of her combat fight scenes here and there, especially with Uncle Crow, which excited me. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, that literally is my uncle I'm watching. It's crazy. Yeah. And then I've been a fan of Elizabeth's work for some time, so I got to meet her in studio too, and it's really surreal to get to work with someone like that. And then again, finally see this completed character voiced by that person talking to you. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Carrie let me do the mocap for Winter,
Awesome.
so cool.
Dang.
which is a challenge for me because, as you can probably even see now, I have terrible posture. Winter does not. So
No.
the whole time doing makeup, I have to stand like this, basically, almost like too
Militant.
much posture.
Yeah.
Barbara, they should have just put you in like a corset. That would have
Right.
forced you to stand up straight.
Over posture.
Balance some books on your head.
That is it exactly. I think that's perfect.
I have to say that
Oh,
Jack
go ahead.
Harkness in chat is calling Winter Snow Miser, and that's a topical and lovely reference, and I adore you for that.
And Megan Norris pointed out the fact that you, Megan Salinas, made a pun.
Not really.
You did.
I would
Reference.
like to say
It's a
that
reference.
that's more of a
Now we're getting a
reference
press release?
and also a play on words, which I would argue
Let it
is
happen.
different.
It is so nice to have some pun support.
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk
dark
about Winter as a
side.
character, because
Yes.
even though she's presented as this very rigid, very militant type person, there was a little bit of ambiguity when we saw Weiss at the end of the last episode in terms of whether or not she was actually happy to see Winter. And we see now that she actually is ecstatic, that even though Winter may seem very regimented and very serious, she does care so deeply about her little sister.
But also, those are the only two people that can commiserate about their treatment from their father.
Yeah.
She's the only person that she can talk to honestly about how the treatment of her father affects her. So
Dad cut you off because he wants you to call home.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to me. Seriously, just do the thing.
call Dad.
At that moment, at least half of the world population went, yes.
Oh, that makes
I
sense.
released that episode near Christmas time.
He's like, call your parents.
Very strategic.
Call
done.
home.
Thank them for everything.
I do that every week. And I like too the way that she differentiates between how you're doing in school and how you're doing.
Yes.
They're two very different things.
I really enjoyed that scene too, and I thought that it was some good characterization for, and also very in character for Weiss. That like she doesn't always make the connection between like people feelings and like and like feelings about her own personal successes. Do you know what I mean by
People
that?
feel
Real people feelings, as opposed to Ice Queen feelings.
Sure, yeah.
And
the little bit
Like
of
all
world.
business. So whenever they have to get emotions
Exactly.
come out, it's a little bit difficult for them to explain what's happening without being very, very blunt.
Yes.
And the bit of world building that we got, that the school is tied in with the government.
Yeah.
that's a great thing from the world of Runman that we learned.
Yeah, but also they mention it in this episode. It's just a throwaway line.
Yeah.
And that is something when you hear it, you're like, wait, what? Like there are certain military schools here in the U.S., but no one would say that all public schools are tied into the military. That's a little unsettling.
Depends on who you ask.
A little communist China.
But
a little bit.
I did like how it wasn't a huge change in the dialogue from "How are you doing?" to like the request of "I want to see where you live." Like I just want to inspect them so that up to my standards is, "Oh, I've broken through. Awesome, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm starting to get back my sister back, just
That's
a little
true.
bit."
That's
The
true.
bunk beds only look unsafe.
beds?
Okay.
Though I loved Ruby's interaction with these characters,
Absolutely.
or like attempted interaction with these characters in this scene.
Yeah. The fact that how Shnees aren't familiar with emotion. Ruby is all pure emotion.
She is.
No filter. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I particularly enjoyed Lindsay, your performance of "I will reconvene with you at a later juncture." Yep,
Yeah.
juncture.
It's better because now before for earlier seasons we didn't have a camera in the booth recording us, and we do have it this season.
Oh,
and it's
nice.
funny
Yes.
how much translates now, because I do that in booth. I was like, at a later this juncture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that
that's-
happens all the time.
And
No,
that's actually something that we brought up on the last episode, is that, you know, I feel like in this season there's a lot more sort of subtlety in the characters' facial expressions and the way that their body language is along, you know, with their dialogue. So it's all translating very well.
Oh, thanks.
They definitely simplify a lot of the animation this season, but not in a way where it's less expressive.
No,
but
not at all.
expressive, but there's less like, you know, maybe they'll have a head turn when they're talking instead of doing this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's very much like film, where just the slightest eye movement can mean so much.
Yeah.
now that we're getting into scenes where you're getting a lot more character depth and development, and where the scene is more about the emotions and less about the action that's happening.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just from your guys' perspective, because you guys play two characters who are sisters, the relationship that Weiss and Winter have is very, very different. So that must seem completely alien to Ruby.
I'm excited to see. I mean, we'll get a little bit into it later in the season, hopefully, and as the show continues. But obviously, we have the established relationship between Ruby and Yang, and even though they are half sisters, they really don't treat each other that way. They just basically act like there's nothing wrong. It's totally cool. Their whole lives doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But now we have this new relationship of sisters where they again behave a little bit more militant toward each other. It's a little bit more like we have to do these things as a family, and less like, hey, let's talk about, like, what are your hopes and dreams? Well, let's talk about what's going on here. So I think both sides can learn from each other. So I think that will happen, hopefully, later on.
Yeah.
And going back to talking about fatherly overbearingness, maybe we'll get a little bit into that, because you've mentioned, in the show, they've mentioned before that Ruby's father can be a little bit overbearing. So hopefully, you know, maybe that might come about, too.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's also really, I really like comparing the two sisters, or sets of sisters, rather, because they're also very similar in a lot of ways, where Yang obviously cares very much for Ruby and just wants her to do well and succeed. And it's the same thing for Winter and Weiss, where Winter just wants her to succeed and you know, she hopes she's doing well and is healthy and eating and all this stuff. So there's similarities in there, but they're also very different relationships.
They just push different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a different tempo.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
there's still that warmth there, and I really appreciate
that actually, especially in the second episode of the two that we're talking about today, so I guess episode 4, we really saw Weiss and Winter, connecting in as loving a way as I think the Shnees are capable of expressing.
Yeah, I spent most of episode 3 going, oh my god, Winter, shut up, and most of episode 4 going, yeah.
I think if they wanted to express any more, they'd have to hire someone to do it for them.
Yeah,
Through interpretive dance and or pantomime.
It would be like that Key and Peele Obama anger
translator.
Yeah.
Well, it was something I didn't necessarily pick up on the first time I watched these episodes, but I rewatched them again, and I realized that at no point did they ever really embrace. I think at one point Winter pushed Weiss away a little bit when the fight was getting ready to start, but at no point do they hug each other. Whereas the very first time we meet Yang, she's throwing her arms around Ruby.
That is true.
So it's a very, very different relationship.
That was one of the first noises I made, is Ruby.
The closest
Like baby sister.
They're like, you're getting squished into someone's tits. I'm like, okay.
Accurate.
And they tell you you're squishing something into your tits. Got it.
You're done. We know this.
That is a fact. We have a question to everybody on the hashtag from Mallory D on Twitter, aka at Malachroma. If you had to fight any of the Ruby characters, who would you battle?
No, I saw that.
John.
Fair enough.
Careful.
All you'd have to do is yell at him.
Oh.
Can I pick one of the shadow people in the back?
Right, exactly. For
I don't-
season 1.
No!
I don't
Why
trust
would you
them.
want to fight the friends on the other side?
Never
No!
know. Dude, easy. Neptune, and it would be a chicken fight in the pool.
Oh.
You'd win
Good
by
call.
default.
Good call.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Emma?
I'm Donica nailed it, man.
No, my bins.
How about you ladies? Who would you fight?
Ooh, I feel like I'd fight with Penny, because probably halfway through the fight we'd reconcile and become friends and just skip down the street together holding hands.
Yeah.
Would you survive to halfway?
Yeah.
All right.
I think I would fight the shopkeep.
Oh.
I do not trust that guy. Are you kidding?
Problems. He probably has something up his sleeve. I don't know, but
I feel like he's got underworld connections. Maybe not necessarily White Fang, but something.
I mean, he clearly has his hands in a lot of different industries.
He's the internet. He has a series of tubes to get to the different shops around the city.
As far as I'm concerned, he's Nurse Joy. There's just 50 of them that all look the same and have the same name, and no one questions it.
Oh, yeah.
Also
There's
possible.
30 of him around the city, actually. And they're all going to get together for one photo at some point.
it's Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
So
Bless.
we we've talked a little bit about it. Let's talk about this actual fight with Crow, because
This is the first fight that we've had since the very first episode where it has been two fully trained huntsmen, or a huntsman and a huntress. The last time we saw this, it was Glinda and Cinder, and that was very, very quick and obviously an escape attempt and not a full-on fight. This is the first time that we have seen two people of their caliber going at it, and it is amazing. It tells you how small the scale we've been functioning in is, and how much more our characters have to learn, because they are students. They are not up to this caliber yet. And then Crow just drives it home in episode 4, like, you think you accomplished something. You're adorable.
Shut up, Vic.
I hear Kogaiji, and I just can't take it seriously.
And we're not even seeing Crow at his 100%.
No,
because he's
no.
drunk,
Well,
which arguably
he's
could
always
be better.
drunk.
I imagine it's kind of a drunken kata, where
Drunken
he's just
master?
having a good time.
I don't know, because we saw him start to change his sword into a scythe, and then just nope. So we haven't even seen him go all out yet.
Yeah.
And he did teach
Like
Ruby
Velvet's
to use the
box.
scythe.
You're not
Like Velvet's box.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yep.
Save that for later.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
Telling you, that little fan art of her just letting a tiny bunny out of the box and saying, "Go, unleash
Go be
hell."
free.
Like, that's it.
that is my favorite. That is my favorite theory.
Yes.
But this fight in general, it's some of the it kind of elevates everything that and it never ceases to amaze me how, like, every time I see a Ruby fight, I feel like it's better than the one before.
Yeah.
I feel like every time we see a fight, they've stepped it up in some way, shape, or form.
Our animation team goes above and beyond, and especially in this season. I mean, the evidence is right there in front of you. They've gone to a bound that we didn't even think could be achieved at this volume. But we had talked about before, especially in some of our interviews here, that in these past 2 seasons, you kind of see Team RWBY as almost this invincible group of girls. You're like, oh, no big deal. They can take over whatever Grimm comes their way, Torchwick, whatever. He's in jail. Who cares? No big deal. But the biggest evidence that they had of limitations was the fight between Yang and Neo, where Neo totally kicks Yang's ass. And that's like, oh, well, here's someone who has clearly had more training than you have had in your entire life. And now we get to see these huntsmen and huntresses coming who've been doing this, I assume, for years and years and years and years. And they're kind of making us look bad. So
So get off our show.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, this fight was so great, like, to the point that if somebody was like not into Ruby, because I feel like the best way to really get interested in Ruby is to watch some of the really awesome fight scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, I would show this to someone and be like, watch this, and now you're gonna want to watch this whole show, because
You'll thank me later.
exactly.
I mean, that's what the trailers did.
That's what I did whenever we had Michael and I went to Supernova 2 years ago, and we met Vic there, and I spoke to him about Ruby. We said, oh, we're in this show Ruby, it's, maybe you'll be interested. I don't know if you've heard. He knew nothing about it. We showed him the red trailer, no dialogue in that trailer at all, but it's just the action, and he said, I want to do this. He watched the whole entire thing in the hotel lobby. He was like, yep, I'm sold.
Yep.
Done.
I love it. I love it. And again, I mean, you know, Vic has a very distinctive voice, but I feel like this character, when I was initially introduced to him, I didn't, even though I knew it was Vic, I didn't immediately go, oh, it's like, it's I don't know, I feel like it's a little less Vic than Vic sometimes is.
I agree with you, because normally I can spot Vic Mignogna's voice from a mile away.
Right.
You're right, he has a very, very distinctive sound to his voice. And this is the most differentiated I feel like I've ever heard. This is the most... I feel like this is the most he's ever put into a performance.
Well, and I feel like the most grounded to me. Like, it feels like it comes from a very real place.
He gives everybody gets the reaction of, oh, that's my uncle. Like, really? Because like that sounds like my drunk uncle.
A lot of us are fans of his work and have been for a couple years now. So same way, it's very different for me, and I recognize his voice, but I can get in the booth and get myself into character, and I don't think I'm talking to Vic. This person fan of for years. I'm talking to Uncle Crow.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just hear Kogaiji. I watched Sayuki way back when, and that was my introduction to Vic Mignogna. So everyone else thinks Edward Elric, and I'm like, nope, Demon Prince. Oh. Like, there he is.
I think Ed Elric.
I think Tamaki Suo, but that's just me.
See? Different experiences.
Well, I do want to point out that Crow himself as a character is very different than I envisioned him.
Yes!
Just
Dusty old Crow.
the way that Ruby described him, she clearly idolizes him, and we see their relationship a little bit in this episode, which is great. You know, it's just this brief little moment. But he is way, way more angry than I ever anticipated.
Yeah, he's not like fun drunk uncle. He's like,
well, he's a little fun drunk.
Well, he's dependent drunk uncle.
yeah, but like he's not full. I mean, we see moments of humor with him, but he's not just like comedic relief drunk uncle. Like, this is a serious character.
Well, he's been knee deep in insanity on missions for God knows how long.
Yeah.
He knows how bad things are. He actually has a good amount of the scope of the situation from what we can tell, given that we have almost none of it.
Yeah.
And that will murder your optimism fairly quickly if the comment about, I've seen the things she's created, those are fear. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
So who knows?
Well, we're kind of introduced to him as well in a moment that's very, very serious, because even though it's really awesome to get to see Ruby and Crow interact, he clearly states that he's not there to see her. That's a nice bonus, but he's there to deal with a lot of serious business.
Yeah. No, it's
Like,
true.
get drunk.
Yep.
I just love, he's drunk. He's always drunk.
Yeah.
It's just that long. It's like, that's my secret. I'm always drunk.
Yes. Malochroma in the chat has deemed him Drunkle Crow.
No, that was me.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's you?
No. I did
He's
right
not
before.
Malochrome.
Oh, that's okay. I've been duped, guys. I didn't.
Drunkle Crow has been a thing going around for like a week now.
Well, I don't spend a lot of
Welcome
time
back.
on Tumblr.
I do.
Well, we shouldn't because of Jessica Jones.
This is true.
Yeah, fair enough. The net is dark and full of spoilers. Speaking
Yes.
of Tumblr, do we have any questions from the Tumbles?
We've got a fair few. Keep it going, and I'll find one that is contextually appropriate and not plot heavy.
Okay,
But in
sounds
Because
good.
I'm fairly certain you guys can't answer questions about plot, correct?
No.
I mean, we put out a coming up next on Ruby, I think yesterday.
Oh, we'll talk about Funky. We will talk about Funky.
Too hot damn.
Talk about stuff that has been seen.
Okay.
All right.
Just speculation, and we'll raise our eyebrows going,
Curse your darkened room.
And we don't like asking direct spoiler questions anyway, because I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
A lot of our Tumblr people have a lot of really good questions, but many of them are things where they need to go to Miles, they need to go to Carrie, they need to go to
Right. And
the puppet masters. Like,
we've said before too, sometimes they keep stuff from us to
Yeah.
help with performances, so we'll get a script and go, oh, that's new.
Yeah.
Why did you tell me about this?
Oh God.
It's like, that was a year ago.
Yeah, basically.
yeah, so I'm trying to find a question that is tailored to you guys. That isn't just like, we don't know the answer. Keep sending the questions.
Please do. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about this little powwow that they have when the fight is broken up. This powwow that they have behind closed doors, because not only do we find out within, which it's kind of funny the way Crow presents this, because he's presenting information that everybody in the room already knows. It is
That was for the
something-
audience. It
Yeah,
was an
no, this
aside.
is 100% for the audience.
Oh, yeah.
But we find out that, you know, the people who are in this room, the educators, we figure Ironwood obviously has a lot of dealings.
Right,
He's a
of
general.
course.
That makes sense. But the idea that a headmaster of a school and, you know, this group of other educators and, you know, random huntsmen are actively shaping on, like, going on world events, you know, behind the curtain, so to speak. That's kind of weird to think about. I mean, we always knew Oz was the man behind the curtain, but never,
He is the Wizard of Oz.
Never, I think, to this extent. So that was a very interesting revelation. I wanted to get your guys' take on that.
I just love Crow kicking Winter out. Who invited her?
She's mean to me. Go away.
Not even that, just like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were expanding our little circle of truth.
I mean, it was quite the reveal, but at the same time, I didn't think it was all that surprising.
No.
Like, it seems very in character for this world, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, for sure. Mark?
Fans felt rewarded when they finally saw that scene too, because obviously we had talked about, we kind of got a glimpse of what the world outside of the school was like.
Right,
when
right.
they were in competition with a Dr. Oobleck, not Professor. He won't
Doctor.
yell at you. But yeah, you got a little bit of that and got a taste for what what the grim destruction can look like with Mountain Glen. But now there's so much more inner workings that we really weren't able to discuss or explore upon that have just been touched on in that scene specifically. So now we have so many more questions that have like risen from the ground. Like, we have so much more to plow into now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's really interesting because Ozpin and Glinda especially, you see them as just, these headmasters at a school. And not the fact that they are involved in like everything so much bigger than that. And so to see a scene like that really puts that into perspective.
And to think that they are educators, but first and foremost, they're huntsmen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we haven't had a chance to see Ozpin kick ass and take names, which I want to really, really badly. But, hopefully we'll get a chance to see that and maybe get a little bit of backstory upon what they've gone through and what kind of battles they've had to, work towards and pass.
I don't actually know any of this because this is just not something that we're privy to, but I would really love to see Ozpin's power just be like he turns into a giant head.
Yes,
Giant green head.
Thank you, Barbara.
That is exactly
That's what I said at
Mark
RTX, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, giant head.
Boom, Team Giant Head. Never mind.
Maybe not
maybe
without
not that.
context.
Thank you. We're gonna get explicit on iTunes now.
Nailed it.
At this
but
point.
I like this meeting because of the implications of it. If this is what these two regions, if that's what this meeting looks like, what are the other two regions talking about at the same time? That's what I want to know. I want to see the
the
other
two
side of this
headmasters.
conversation.
Yeah, no, I agree because again, it's like not only are we now seeing all of these, fully trained huntsmen and huntresses, and we're getting more insight into the military workings of Remnant. Like their stuff is going down in this world is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. And it's very fitting that we get this episode and then we got the World of Remnant episode that we got.
Yes.
Because a lot of the themes of the following episode were, just because you graduate, that doesn't mean you're done learning. You will always be a huntsman and you should always focus on learning and growing as a person. And I liked that. And I liked that was a lesson that came from both Crow and Winter. Two people who are clearly on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of how they view the world. And yet that's a little bit of wisdom that comes from both of them.
Yeah. There's actually a really good question for you, Barbara, in the chat from Mooncow333 says, what do you think Yang was feeling when looking at the Team Stark picture?
Well, clearly she recognized someone.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with you on that.
The thumb woman.
The thumb woman.
Who is that mysterious woman?
She was probably thinking she knows who it is.
Of course.
But I think it's just the realization that was her.
Mm-hmm.
When she got saved on the train, and just seeing her in a picture with Crow and everyone else is just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I think also it's kind of a nice moment of Yang reflecting to herself, but also it kind of speaks volumes about how much she's talked to Tai Yang about everything that's happened with her mother. It's a kind of a taboo subject. It seems like she won't even be able to ask Crow questions like, hey, by the way, do you mind? Since I was like, no, we don't even talk about that.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed that moment where she just kind of was so lost in that photo for a second, and I feel like is something that everyone's been there.
Yeah.
100%. I felt like that was a very relatable moment. I mean, not necessarily over a parent who might or might not be dead.
Travel through portals
Right,
and such.
Schrodinger's parents.
Who's also saved you on top of a moving train.
Right,
And may or may not have met
terrorists.
you at an end of credit stinger, but we're really not
But
sure
we're
if that
really not
happened.
sure.
Sweet grim mask. I think that moment told a lot about the possible relationship we're going to see between Yang and Ruby in the future, because she could have said something right away to Ruby saying, I know that woman in that picture, but it might be something that she goes on a personal vendetta about, like we saw with her and Blake in the past.
Yes.
But she kind of distances herself so that she can focus on this thing and ends up isolating herself from the rest of the group.
I don't know how much Ruby knows about Yang's quest to find her mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to not keep them apart, but
Drive a
make them
wedge.
drift a little bit.
What do you guys think? Do you think that would be something Yang would want Ruby's help with, or do you think that would be something she'd feel like she had to shoulder on her own?
I definitely feel like she'd go on it on her own. But that's just also going back to the original search for your mom. I mean, Ruby was in the back of the wagon, but that's really about it. And she's just taking a nap, like hanging out. Yeah. So Yang wasn't like, come help me find my mom. She's like, okay, you're asleep. I'll bring you along, whatever. Yeah. But I definitely feel like Yang would try and do that on her own, just to keep Ruby safe as well. And I feel like that's also why she hasn't brought Ruby in on this, is she doesn't have all the answers yet, and she could be bringing her family members into a situation that could be potentially very, very dangerous. She doesn't know.
Yeah, and I think with Yang is she's a very loving and motherly character, but at the same time she's also very stubborn. And I think this is something that she's decided she wants to do on her own, and that she doesn't want help with, because it's for her to discover and for her to figure out.
Absolutely. And I guess if everyone else has been keeping so many secrets about it to begin with, Yang might not trust everybody.
That's true.
Good point.
I don't trust you.
You know who you are. So
Guys, I gotta go for an unrelated reason.
So I do want to bring up talk a little bit more about the world of Remnant, because we get a little bit of pertinent information, and there's also this idea of an army sending the wrong message and the need for a guardian in lieu of an army. And so to kind of appease the people, and that's a seed that Ozpin has planted. But anyway, to get back to the World of Remnant short that we got, I just want to say that even though we got some really good pertinent information, I was just blown away at how beautiful this one was, and it was just with the subtlety of the capes and the scarves. It was just a slight little thing, but it just, for me, it made this one of the best World of Remnant shorts to look at. It was just phenomenal.
But they're identical. It was just spot on. Like, oh, you should clearly work on World of Remnant. Thank you very much.
They're beautiful.
Our 2D animation team is phenomenal as well.
Yeah,
so.
I really liked the animatics when Crow was explaining his flashback.
His
yeah, exactly, and it looked all like dark and serious.
And then.
Obviously, you can't say it as Ruby, but there's so many times in the booth where stuff like that happens, and I'm like, oh, damn it, are you serious?
What the hell is this crap?
Well, and yell at Miles, who wrote this? Who wrote this?
Oh, wait. Can we talk a little bit about the fight that goes horrifically wrong?
I do want to talk about that, but first, we should probably talk about iTunes real quick.
It's a good transition.
Thank you so much for everybody who's gone to iTunes to rate and leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys on the hashtag. We love hearing from you guys on YouTube. You guys have a lot of really great stuff to say. And we also love hearing from you guys on iTunes, because it's one of the best ways to show the producers here at AfterBuzz that you guys like the show that we're putting on, that you guys like hearing from cast and crew members.
It helps us. It helps
Rooster
them,
Teeth
get them
team.
in.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
Absolutely, and not only are we very appreciative of them taking the time to come and speak with us, we appreciate you guys taking the time to tell us what you think. Emma, do we happen to have access to iTunes?
Trying to bring the iTunes store up right now. The internet is not liking me very much in the studio right now. I'm working on it.
Face.
iTunes is thinking about it.
It doesn't behave super well in this studio. We had this issue with Blind Spot the other night.
But we'll give you guys a shout out on the next one, because we really, really do appreciate it. So anybody who goes to iTunes to rate, leave a comment, you guys will get a shout out on the show next time. When we got better internet. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this fight, because at the end of the first episode, we have Cinder, and we find out that not only are they aware that Crow is there now, but they're
because
also...
Mercury kind of went...
Oh man! Shoot!
He showed emotion.
He did.
And it was
He ran
fear.
away. It was fear. But the kind of important bit is that the reason that they know how the fights are going to go is because they're the ones picking the matches.
And that's messed up.
And that's a very interesting tidbit to just sort of have at the very, very tail end of this episode.
Congratulations, your random number generator has been hacked.
Yeah, random. But so we get this, we get a fight scene with two members from Team Coffee, Coco and Yatsuhashi.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am terrible at pronouncing names.
Which is interesting because they're not partners.
No. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm remembering correctly, in the next, when Team RWBY has their 2-on-2, it's going to be Yang and Weiss, who are also not partners. So,
No, that makes sense.
I find it all interesting choices. That's all.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's the thing that Cinder can't control.
is who
She can control who gets matched with who, but she can't say, "Oh, of the 4 teams, these 2 are going to go
But
on."
they've been doing research on everybody for months.
This is true too.
Presumably, so they can probably. I'm sure they have an algorithm, to predict based on who gets chosen for what.
They set up like fantasy football leagues.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Like a little Excel spreadsheet.
Perfect opportunity for a DraftKings tie. Just saying.
Oh God, no.
Speaking of which, I don't know about you, but like I feel like this would be a Back to the Future 2 scenario where if I knew who was gonna win, I would be putting money down on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Make some money on the side.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cinder's got
Just
them
like
sweet
Coco's
hacks.
fan section.
The which one?
Coco's fan section.
Coco's fan section was
and
amazing.
sunglasses. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Let me see.
I like the people
uh,
that had pictures of Sun's abs.
That was the internet after she first showed up in
my
the
God, yes.
episode.
Well, I think there were a lot of fun, subtle ways to kind of show that not only in the world of Remnant does Team Coffee have like a fan following, but also in real life on the internet, Team Coffee has a fan following because even after they lose, you don't hear cheers from the audience. You hear booing.
Yeah.
Well, and we also know that they cheated. That Cinder's team. That was Neo running around in the trees there.
Shall see.
Solid shrug.
I've seen
Yeah.
enough freeze frames of that little thing. Either that's someone completely new that we haven't heard about, or it's someone who seems to be very good at disguising themselves and has an as yet unknown semblance.
I just
about that.
assumed that Emerald's semblance was being able to disguise herself, but
Or
was
illusions.
I was with you, Megan. I that was my thought as well.
Maybe you'll find out more in coming episodes.
I will
Maybe
say,
we will.
someone new that we didn't address last time around AfterBuzz, who is in the episodes now, Mr. Yuri Lowenthal voicing Mercury.
Yes. So great.
Ah.
Yeah, Fury. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, no, it's a bummer that JJ didn't have the time to come back this season, but Yuri's doing a fantastic job playing Mercury.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying his performance as Mercury quite a lot.
Same thing. I've been a fan of his work for years since I was like I'm thinking back to me in 7th grade, like watching anime in my bedroom, like, oh, yes. Now it's like same thing, like, oh, we're talking to each other on screen. This is so cool.
Yeah. We need to drag him in here. We just do.
We can get him.
I know.
Yeah.
I am aware.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to
We
get
can
back,
get him.
to get back, and this fight in particular, this is one of the things I'm talking about where I'm constantly impressed because watching the Crow and Winter fight, I'm like, nothing can top this, and then watching the Coffee fight, I'm like, nothing can top this, and
Mercury literally did a hurricane kick.
He did.
Like
Yeah,
a
he
new version
did.
of one for all you Street Fighter fans out there.
I also just I loved right at the top of this fight when the match started and Emerald and Mercury just like backed away
Pulled the homers,
slowly
Field of Dreams.
into the
He totally escaped back.
Yeah, that was when I was like, this is not gonna go well.
And then Coco mowing the lawn, which is about
Yeah.
the smartest thing you could have done.
Yep.
yeah, no, you,
Really creepy to me.
It was so creepy.
it was.
Fan art of like Emerald and
Oh, yeah, Simpson character.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Our fans are so talented.
Yeah,
Goodness.
it's stupid.
Yeah.
It reminds me of there's a Simpsons episode where Homer just slinks back into the hedge.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking of.
We did have a question that actually ties in with that, if I can get Tumblr to decide to load again. Thank you. From WillyBoy013. Have you ever seen any fan art, new characters, theories, etc., that you wish you had thought of that you want to incorporate in the show?
Oh man, not really that I wish I had thought of, because that's always really cool when I see stuff that I didn't think of. I'm like, awesome, you're so creative, and I could never have conceived that in my brain. But I've seen a few ones that are like, man, what if instead of like Penny and Ruby switched places, that they like played a prank on the people who were supposed to take care of Penny, and like Ruby pretended to be her, and they're like, what are you doing over here? And it's just Ruby like in costume, like, I'm Penny, what are you talking about? That would be funny, stuff like that.
Let's see that as a bonus episode.
On our subreddit a couple days ago, someone took all the characters and changed their color schemes to be the other characters.
Oh.
I've seen those,
That
the
freaked
palette
me out.
swaps.
And Ruby had Weiss's color scheme, and it was just like, it was such a simple change, but it looked so cool.
Yeah.
I like all the new weapon modifications that people have, and sometimes people will guess stuff before we release characters that are very, very similar. Like I know we had an incident with a Ren where someone came up with basically what Ren's weapons were, and we're like, oh, well, funny enough, that's going to be coming out soon. Same thing with a Sun. Someone was like, hey, what if someone had a collapsible bow staff, and maybe it could be nunchucks or something? We're like, well, hang on for like 2 more weeks.
Sweet gunchucks.
Well,
Yeah.
I know that we've talked about it ad nauseum, but like a big hit with the panel and with the internet in general was probably the hoverboard dual wielding guns.
Oh my God.
What has been your guys' favorite new weapon so far this season?
Ooh, that's a pretty good one. The hoverboard into the guns. I'm still waiting for the gun. That's what I.
The gun that shoots smaller guns.
Yeah.
Like a Russian doll gun.
The character who we saw on the preview for the next episode, who has a really cool weapon.
Yes,
You'll see.
That's all we'll say about
The
it.
male character that you see in the preview. I
Yes.
really like his whole thing.
I'm still waiting for a Zwei should have a semblance. I think
I agree.
like the Oobleck and Zwei partnership was beautiful, but I feel like Zwei needs his own aura.
Yeah.
Zwei,
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody in the chat earlier I noticed also was like, did anybody else see that Zwei was sitting on Blake's bed? She's gonna kill him.
Half the chat. Half the chat's like, look. Okay.
And severe lack of Blake these episodes, which was really sad.
I know.
Probably because why is sleeping on her bed?
Probably.
Exactly.
She's like, I gotta go for a walk.
Peace, I'm out.
I gotta go for a walk for 2 weeks.
She has a lot to think about. Okay.
Yeah, just pretty rough.
Well, it's like our cat. You make a loud noise in the apartment, and you can't find her for half an hour.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or they run away for a couple weeks and then just show up. You're like, all right, you're fine. I guess.
Joe the cat situation.
Sure.
They're all indignant about it too. They're like, well, I'm back. Where's the red carpet?
And the best part of this is my cat's name is Winter. So sitting down and watching these episodes and occasionally going, oh my God, Winter, shut up. And the cat looks at me like, what?
What's wrong?
What did I do, Mom?
You leave me out of this.
You can fix this by giving me belly rubs starting now.
Well, speaking of winter, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but something that we didn't touch on with this conversation between her and Weiss is that the Schnee family has the ability to summon.
and an inherited semblance, which is evidently not a thing otherwise.
We just went Final Fantasy on this. This is the
I'm waiting
best.
for a
the
Bahamut.
bitty sword that she summoned. Look at the white trailer.
Final Fantasy was one of the first things that the crew, I guess, mentioned of like, here's what you can kind of think about. Like,
Yeah.
like anyone who's played video games knows that there's summons involved, but I guess for like the visual connection, yes, Final Fantasy is pretty.
Totally.
But to see Winter summon her own version of a Winter Beowulf, basically,
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
And we honestly don't even know where that's gonna go from here.
Yeah, because I mean, they, you know, when Winter was trying to help Weiss summon, you know, she said, think about your foes. So obviously it has something to do with kind of like channeling your versions of the Grimm that you encounter.
The Grimm that you vanquished.
Yeah.
It's like Batman mentality, where it's like you've conquered your fear, and now you are your fear.
Oh, there.
Weiss is the knight?
Look at
Yeah.
Sheila's
Vengeance.
trailer. She summoned a bitty version of the sword
No,
that,
yeah,
that
it's-
armor has.
I know. Watching it the second time, I definitely go, "Oh, we're gonna see that knight again."
Yeah.
We're definitely
Oh,
gonna see that
Tumblr
knight
went
again.
insane when that happened. Just
Oh, okay.
absolutely
Honestly,
crazy.
I don't even know.
Like, us struggling, like, that's not a hint. We really
Okay.
don't.
And I saw your quick yas after we mentioned the summoning. That was great.
But that's interesting that they have this inherited trait, and it makes me wonder if other characters happen to have similar inherited traits. Maybe not the summoning necessarily,
Right.
but other abilities that are passed down from generation to generation.
In the Armstrong family?
Oh, yeah.
For generations! Yes.
It's even better because whenever Winter was first shown too, they explained to her as Armstrong's sister. If you've seen Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
That makes a lot
That's a
of
great quick
sense.
note.
Yeah.
That
A lot of
makes
times it's easier for us to, especially as anime fans, to be like, oh, like baseline, one-dimensional. Here is what you can compare it to.
Totally.
Okay, I have that in my head. Now
Yeah.
let's get down to the nitty-gritty of why this is different than that
I thought you were
character.
going to say, let's get down.
Yes.
I'm like, let's sing the song.
To defeat the Grimm.
I got to be careful with that. I almost went into the actual Mulan song.
Don't want to get a copyright ping.
Yes, no, that'd be terrible. So, I mean, that we basically kind of come to the end. We basically touched on a lot of the big stuff in these 2 episodes. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we do get into predictions?
I do
based
really
on the
quickly.
promo.
Crow's send off to the girls from the end of the line. Just keep moving forward. Was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I'm happy that exists in the world.
Yeah. I liked his. I really enjoyed the whole scene where they were playing video games with Crow in their dorm room, basically. And I liked when he said, "You really think like a little girl and her friends can save the world?" Or I don't remember what the
Stop all crime.
Yeah, stop all
Well,
crime.
I thought so until you said that.
Yeah, exactly. I loved that moment.
When Ruby goes, they do, and it's called silver.
Yep. They don't give a prize for almost.
Well, and again, that they do, and it's called silver. God, yes.
Yep.
That again just hammers home the point that we have no concept of how big this is as the audience, because we basically know what the girls know, and then a little more when we are privy to the adults' conversations. But we're still very much sitting at the kids' table here. We have
and based on what we know from the scripts, the girls know 0, like next to 0.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we have like maybe 0.1 because we have the advantage of the 4th wall. But that's it.
You know, a lot of times we've spoken to you guys in several interviews, and a lot of the comparisons with Ruby have been made to Harry Potter. And I think for the first time, I really do kind of see that, because Harry Potter and his friends are operating on very limited knowledge, and they go head first in these situations they know nothing about.
Questionable uncle.
I was going to say,
Questionable.
and you know what? I think now that you bring up Harry Potter, it's specifically because Harry Potter that I was not surprised that the headmaster of the school had a lot more going on.
But yeah, with these 2 getting a little bit more context, this is the first time where I'm like, this really is like Harry Potter. I totally get it.
Yeah.
We've had a few fans compare it to Harry Potter too, especially with this season. And to be fair, Miles and Carrie agreed and kind of followed up with that too. This season's going to get a little bit darker.
Yeah, it's a little Triwizard Tournament, if you will.
I don't think we're quite that far.
I was thinking Prisoner of Azkaban, because that's where things started to get a little bit darker.
But don't do Triwizard Tournament, because that means someone's going to die.
But there is a tournament going on, and there's
It's anime, there's always a damn tournament.
But there's
Do you
people from
really
other
think
schools.
that we're getting out of this series without any casualties? Please.
What we're saying is that we want a Ruby book. Can we get a Ruby book?
Yes, like the
Give it
Record
13
book.
seasons.
So that basically wraps it up for these 2 episodes. Again, do you guys have any other comments before we move into predictions?
I guess just in general to fans, as always, thank you so much for watching. We couldn't make the show without you, so please don't stop. Ever. We'd like to go on to season 20, please.
You know, if you make it, we will watch. As we
Another
sink
shit.
backwards into the tall grass menacingly.
Nice.
Well, thank you guys. So let's. Oh, there it is.
We got it.
There it is.
Your AFTERBUZZ TV prediction.
I do have to share this from
Go right ahead.
Andy Santos on Twitter. Just, what's Cinder planning anyway?
Yeah.
We're not getting an answer to that.
Nope.
That is
I like how
not-
casual it was.
She's
she
planning
planning
on
anyway?
She's planning on building the best fantasy football team that she possibly can.
Exactly.
In Ruby's Sweet 16, duh.
Duh.
Yeah.
Hero sprains her ankle. Sprains her
trying
ankle.
to
She's like,
find-
no, my quarterback.
So we get introduced to a couple new characters in this promo, which, by the way, I love that you guys are doing promos this season.
Yeah.
It is something that's a little bit fun. That's like, whetting appetites before the next episode.
on Ruby.
At Malpern3 on Twitter says, would you say that one of the contestants in the episode 5 sneak peek is rather musical?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yes. I think fans are going to really, really love those 2 characters that you got a glimpse of in the preview.
Yes.
well, Miles said it though at the panel back at RTX that those were his new favorite characters. So
Funky.
But
Yes.
That is
if you listen closely to, you might recognize a voice of the female character.
Oh, the rainbow girl.
And also a short redhead that we know.
She has big hair.
Does
She
she?
has very big hair.
Yes.
So with
I like the subtleness, by the way.
Yeah, the subtlety is beautiful.
Huge subtlety.
It's really
yeah, no, that is definitely a thing. But another thing to point out is that we got another little bit from Crow and Ozpin about picking a guardian. Now, if you guys could pick any hunter or huntress that you know of, that we currently know of, it could be somebody that we've never met before, but if you guys could pick anybody that we currently know of to be the guardian of the world, who would you pick?
Glinda.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say too. Yes,
Oh, I thought we were thinking of students. I didn't even think. I didn't
Any
consider.
hunter or huntress
Fair enough. Fair enough.
or hunter or huntress in training.
Because I would say either Pyrrha or Nora.
Yeah.
Pyrrha legitimately, and Nora just because she's the best.
Yeah, obviously.
I feel like you would need Nora and Ren both.
I also
like
just
best tag team.
I have like such a weird love for Uncle Crow too that was totally unexpected. So I would cast my vote for him as well.
Professor Port, obviously.
Oh my god! Talk about generations of the Armstrong
Keep
family.
talking until the other team gave up. They were like, enough, please, just make him stop talking.
And
That's
and
his
just
semblance. His monologuing.
just to address something that I'm getting pinged both in the chat and on Twitter. Yes, at Acrimonious King on Twitter. We did see the acrimonious. There we go. I can't read it. It's fine. We saw the things about Grim Eclipse. We just simply don't have time on this episode. We will address it at some point. It's just not going to happen right now.
We got a late start this evening.
Play the beta. Play the beta. Or the whatever.
Great.
If I want to throw my 2 cents in there, I think Penny. Actually, she's an artificially created life form who has been told that she was meant to save everybody
But she's
and
not from
protect
Beacon.
everybody.
It would have to be somebody from
I
Beacon.
super worry about the whole
Yeah,
Penny being Pinocchio thing.
We need to acknowledge the joke that Lindsay just made
Oh,
because
Lord.
it's too good to.
Please.
Sorry.
You said, I'd like to throw my 2 cents in there, and you said penny, and then Lindsay said,
That's 1 cent.
Son of a bitch. Did everybody get a good one in tonight?
Bless.
I think everybody did.
Did you?
genius.
I don't think I did.
Oh, that's. I thought I did.
Well,
No, I honestly
played.
don't remember.
That's fine.
That's not a call.
I live in a drunken haze from hour to hour. So this isn't even water.
whiskey is in
Drunkle
there.
Mark.
Well, again, that basically wraps it up. Do you guys have any other questions for our wonderful, wonderful guests before we let them go? It's very late on their end.
Yes. I just people in the chat want Zwei for the Guardian, and I think that's lovely. And I just wanted to share that.
They've also declared that Lindsay wins the stream
Yep.
with that show.
No silvers in your future, just gold.
Just go.
Well, thank you guys so much again for taking the time to sit and just hang out and chat about the episode with us. We really appreciate it.
We love being here. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys, we say this every time. I don't know if we said it to you guys, but it's really awesome to do things like this with people who love the show and watch the show.
Yeah,
like
you're
you
so
guys
well
do.
versed.
Aw, shucks.
It is by the fans for the fans. So
No, which is awesome, and we appreciate you guys like really knowing the show inside and out, so we could actually just chat about it openly like that.
Yeah.
No,
thank you.
The pleasure is all ours. It is a ton of fun. Where can people go if they want to keep up with you guys and keep up with maybe other projects that you have going on as well?
My personal Twitter is I am Lindsay Jones, and you can find me on the Rooster Teeth website under Lindsay.
And I am at Dunkelman. That's BDUNKELMAN on Twitter and Instagram and pretty much every social media site. And I am on the Rooster Teeth site as well as Barbara.
Well, thank you guys so much again for joining us tonight. It's always such a blast to talk to you. We really appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. They are just the best.
wonderful human beings.
Anyway, that we are getting played out.
We are. No, we're running pretty late.
Where can people find you?
Okay, so you can follow me on Twitter if you're a Star Wars fan and a fan of Funhouse, because I know there's a lot of Rooster Teeth folk watching. Bruce was on last week for our Star Wars show on Popcorn Talk Network, talking Battlefront. I'll tweet out the link again. Make sure to watch it because it was a great time. Soapbox Mark on Twitter and Soapbox Mark on Rooster Teeth website.
And I'm Emma Fyffe all over the internet at Emma Fyffe. I do a lot, but guys, I also tweet a lot. So just follow at Emma Fyffe, EMMAFYFFE. That is 60% F's. and you'll know everything that's happening in my life.
I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and the Rooster Teeth site at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I'm also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. I am on many of the shows, many of which are on hiatus, but we do have Z Nation on Sunday and Arrow and Star Wars Rebels on Wednesdays.
And don't forget to follow Patrick as well at P to the D's on Twitter, and check out his podcast Pixel by Pixel on Tuesdays. And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. I write articles for the movie Chick with 2 Ks. And special shout out to Elizabeth Maxwell as well, who took the time while she was here in Los Angeles to be interviewed. So guys, be sure to check out that interview as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you to everybody. We will see you all next time.
Good. From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Dust
you later. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
AfterBuzz TV prediction.